What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment. Now let's go ahead and jump right on in and start talking about this X390. Now, normally what we start with is talking about the model number. So the X390, it is going to be in that X class of mower, meaning that it is going to be a dealer exclusive. So you can only get these kind of mowers at the John Deere dealerships. Now, the next number is going to be a 3, so this means that it is going to be that first level of dealer exclusives within the riding tractor series. You're going to have S100s, S200s, X300s, X500s, and X700s. So this is going to be that first residential series of the dealer exclusive mowers. And then the last 2 digits are going to indicate a bunch of different things on these mowers. With this being the 90, this is going to be the second highest mower in the X300 class. The only one that you have above the X390 is going to be the X394, which would have all the same features except it is a 4-wheel steer. So this is going to be a 2-wheel steer mower, and some of the special features about it, the 2 main special features on this mower are going to be that it has power steering and it also has a power deck lift, which we'll show both of those in action here in a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and get underneath the hood and talk about the engine here. Now, what we're going to have on this machine is a 23 horsepower Kawasaki engine. Now, when we look right here on top, you're going to see 23 horsepower, and it's going to be branded John Deere. Now, if we look over here on the side of the engine, you are going to see that Kawasaki sticker just to make sure that you know that this is a Kawasaki engine and not some other branded engine. You can check that right there on the side. Now, as far as service points go on this engine, if we start over here on the left-hand side, is where we're going to have all of our oil systems. So for one, we're going to have our oil fill and dipstick. So right here, this yellow cap, we unscrew that, pull it out. That is going to be our fill and our dipstick. Right below that, we're going to have our engine oil filter. And then right below that, we are going to have our oil drain. Now, the nice thing about this oil drain is it is toolless. So all you have to do is use your hands to be able to unscrew that cap, let that oil drain out, and then tighten that cap back down by hand whenever you're done. Now, if we move around here to the front of the engine, this machine is a V-twin, so it is going to have 2 cylinders, meaning it is going to have 2 spark plugs. So we're going to have one over here on the left-hand side, and then one also over here on the right-hand side. Now, right on top at the front of the engine, right where we had that 23 horsepower sticker, this is where our air filter cover is going to be. So if we pull up on that, we can see our air filter right there. Very easy to get to. If we move around over here onto the right-hand side of the engine, one thing that we need to point out is this piece right here. This is going to be our fuel pump. This is going to be important if we start to have those fuel issues. This is a very easy part to change, and sometimes this has a lot to do with those fuel issues, so make sure that you know where that is at. And then tucked right back here behind the engine is going to be our fuel filter right down there below, and then also our battery right here. Now, 2 more things you need to keep in mind of. For one is going to be your fuse panel that is to the right of your battery right here, and then right up in front of you whenever you have the hood open, you're going to have a service interval chart on the underside of this hood right here. That way you can make sure to reference this and make sure you're doing these service points when they need to be done. Now, moving here to the rear of the mower, going right along with our engine, let's talk about our drive system here. What you're going to have on this machine is a K58 tough torque transaxle. So this is going to be the upgraded transaxle that you're going to get once you move up into that higher end of the X300. So this is going to have a fluid reservoir on top, not only for the transaxle, but also for your lift for the deck and also for your power steering at the front of the mower. So we need to make sure that we're checking this, keeping this full of that transmission fluid. We're also going to have our transaxle release lever back here. Now, this is the lever that we're going to use if we happen to get in those situations where we have to push this mower. For some reason, it won't start, it won't move. We need to get it out of the area that it's in. We can simply relieve that transaxle by pulling this lever out and then making sure we push it back in when we're ready to drive this mower. Now, also back here at the rear, while we're here, we'll mention that these mowers are going to be great for attachments. So not only are you gonna have some pre-drilled holes back here for those different attachments to go on, say such things as bagger kits, other mountable attachments, you're also gonna have this rear hitch right here, and this mower is gonna have a towing capacity of 600 pounds. So if you're wanting to do those things like pull a pull type sprayer, or maybe a lawn sweeper, whatever those rear pulled attachments are, just know that you have that Cleva style hitch and a towing capacity of 600 pounds. Now, while we're back here, we'll go ahead and get underneath the seat, show you that we do have adjustable seat suspension here. So we have not only these 2 springs, but we also have 3 different slots that we can slide those into to make sure that you're making this ride quality what you need it to be for the application. Then also underneath the seat, you are going to have your deck leveling gauge right here, and then also the tool that you're going to use to level that deck. Now, if you're looking into this and wanting to see how to level the deck on one of these X300 mowers, I've got a ton of those videos over on my other channel, 24/7 Parts, so make sure and go check those out. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the mower deck and the 2 options that you're going to have on this X390. You are going to have the option of either a 48-inch XL Deep or a 54-inch XL Deep. This one that we have here is going to be the 54, but it's going to have the same features that the 48 is going to have. So some of those features that you're going to see, for one, is going to be the easily adjustable anti-scalping wheels. You're simply going to have a pull pin system that you can pull out on, change that height really easily to lock those back in. You're also going to have the washout port on these decks. You're going to have the flip up spindle covers here that make it easy for cleaning and easy for greasing, because if we see on top of the spindle cover here, we are going to have a little grease gun symbol with an arrow pointing in, and this is going to show right where our greaser is, right there on that spindle. Now, on the edging side over here, on the side that does not have the discharge chute, you're going to see a little extra weld mount here on the outside to add to the reinforcement of that edging side. So if you're getting up against those curbs or barriers, whatever those things are, you do have that reinforcement here. Now, this is going to be a forged 10 gauge steel deck made out of a single sheet of that 10 gauge steel. So it is going to be a very, very strong deck. And then if we move over to the right hand side, we're going to have another flip up spindle cover over there, and we're going to have that large discharge chute opening over there. Now, a nice thing about these XL Deep decks, whether we're talking the 48 or the 54, you are going to have the option of putting the bagger kit or the mulch control kit on these mowers. So you can make this mower a bagger or a mulcher, either one, by adding those kits. And if you want to see some of those things done, like I said, I've done this on other mowers on that other channel, 24/7 Parts. So make sure and go check that out if you're wanting to add something to this mower to make it suit your property better. Now, before we hop in the operator station, one thing is I want to hit on this seat is that you are getting the upgraded seat in this X390. This is going to be a nice cut and sewn 18-inch high back seat. You are going to have the water discharge hole right back here. So if this machine does happen to sit outside, or if it gets that condensation buildup while sitting in the barn, that water does have a place to run and go out, but it is going to be super cushioned. You're going to have those sides around it over here on the back and on the seat to try to help keep you in that seat whenever you're in it. So to go along with all that padding and that spring suspension makes for a phenomenal ride on this machine. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on here. We'll start talking about the operator controls. So before we get to the actual controls, I'm going to start over here to my left. Right back here is where we're going to have our gas fill. Now, this is going to be a very wide 3 3/4 inch opening with a 3.3 gallon tank. So you're going to be able to get a lot of mowing done with this mower with that size of tank on it. Now, if you notice over here to the left, we are not going to have that raise and lower pedal like we would on a lot of mowers to raise and lower that deck. And that is because it's going to be done all up here by a lever, because this does have that hydraulic raise and lower. Up here on the dash, first thing we'll talk about is that raise and lower lever. So we have this lever right here that says mower lift. Once we have this mower on, we can turn that on, raise that deck up, which right now it's in the raised position. Whenever we want to lower that down, we just simply push in on that lever, and that's going to lower that deck down. Now, to be able to adjust that cutting height right between your legs here, you're going to see a turn dial that's going to have different markings on it from 4 all the way around to 1, and these are going to be in 1/4 inch increments. You can adjust that dial by hand just by turning that to whatever height you want that at, and then once you turn the mower on, start it up, lower that mower down, that is the height that it's going to go down to. Now, right next to that mower lift button is going to be this yellow button here. This is our RIO button. This is our rear implement option button. This is going to be the safety switch that you have to push in before you go to mow in reverse. Now, you can go in reverse and go forward all you want without messing with any of the buttons whenever your blades are off. But if your blades are on and you want to mow in reverse, you will have to push this button in first before you go in reverse for that mower deck to stay on. Now, moving up from that, we're gonna have our throttle and choke levers. Orange lever to the left here is gonna be our throttle, where we pick that engine speed. Then over here to the right is gonna be our choke lever. Nice thing about it is going to be on a spring system, so you can never leave this mower up and into choke. Once you've got that mower choked, start it. When you let off, that's gonna go back down and kick that out of choke. Now, right up here in the center, you're gonna have a nice electronic display. If we turn that on, you're gonna see all of the lights light up at first, and then once we have that on, what you're gonna see first is your electronic fuel gauge. So we're not having to look around looking for a floating gauge, looking for a sight glass. That fuel gauge is right here on the dash. Then you're also going to have an hour meter displayed. You're gonna have your battery meter, and then also your RPM gauge over here to the left. Now, this is gonna have a white line up to a green line, and what this is saying is you don't wanna be cutting grass until you have the speed of that mower up and into that green line, which I'll show a little bit more about here in a minute. Now, over here to the right of that, we're gonna have our key switch. This is gonna be a 3-position switch. We're gonna have a start position, run position, and then our lights position. So once we've gotten going, we've gotten this mower started, if we want to kick those lights on, we just simply have to twist it back one step there to that lights position, and then we'll have our lights on in the front if we have to do any of that mowing at night. Now, moving down right below the key switch is going to be this yellow knob right here. This is going to be our PTO or blade switch. So whenever we're wanting to turn those blades on, we simply pull this switch up, and then to turn those blades off, we're going to simply push that in. Now, you're also going to see to the left of that an empty pop out here that's ready for another switch to be added. If you have such things that you're going to add, such as an electric mulch control, maybe another attachment, some additional lights, whatever those are, you do have a pop out right here on the dash where you can add that additional switch in. Now, moving on down, we are going to have our park brake here. So this is going to be how we set our park brake, with the pedal over to our left that sticks up high. This is going to be our brake pedal. So once we push that in, we can raise up on our parking brake switch, and that is going to set the park brake. And to release that, we're going to push back in on that pedal, push down on the switch, let off of our brake, and now we are in drive mode. And then right next to that is going to be our cruise control button. Now, this is going to be a great feature if you have those long straight passes or those circles that you're making constantly when you're mowing and you want to keep your feet off of those hydrostat pedals. Over here to the right, you have this cruise control button that you can push once you have found the speed that you want to mow at. Now, moving over here to the right, like I was talking about, those pedals, very easy to drive this mower. We simply have a forward and reverse pedal. So once we start this mower up, release that parking brake, then we have our forward pedal and our reverse. So very, very easy to drive. And then if we move on over here to our right, over on our right hand fender, we're going to see a beverage holder right here, so you can have that bottle of water on board or whatever you are going to have on board while you're mowing. And then you're also going to have this covered storage cubby over here where we can put different things, maybe a wallet, phone, keys, whatever those things are. You can make sure, cover that up, snap that lid closed to keep that stuff on board with you. Now, while I'm sitting here, let's go ahead and show just how well that power steering works and that raise and lower on the deck. So I'm going to go ahead and start this mower up so you can hear how it sounds. Now, make sure whenever you're going to start this mower, you put your foot on the brake or you've got that parking brake set. So there is the sound of the mower. Now, what I'm going to point out is that we've got the mower on. We've got it about mid-throttle. And normally I would have to really crank on this wheel to be able to turn those front wheels. But I'm going to go one finger, turn that wheel with that power steering. Makes that very, very easy to do, just like that. Nice and easy on that power steering. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my deck all the way up with my lift lever right there. I'm going to change the height. We'll drop it down to 2.5 inches, and then now I'm going to push down on that mower lift lever. And that's going to drop that mower deck down to that 2.5 inch mark. If I want to raise that back up, I'm simply going to raise up on the lever. Nice and easy, just like that. Now, like I said, driving this mower, very easy. I'm just going to push on the forward pedal, push on the reverse pedal. If I want to turn it around with that power steering, very, very easy to do. You're able to really get in those tight spots with this, with that power steering, without having to struggle at all, which is a really, really nice feature to this X390. Now, we talked about that RIO button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn these blades on. Now I'm going to go forward just a little bit here. And then if I were to go in reverse, you can hear it. It'll absolutely kill that deck. So from here, I'd have to turn the blades back off. Then I'd have to re-engage them, go forward, and then if I want to mow in reverse, I've got to push my RIO button, and then I can go in reverse, and then I can let off that button, and those blades will stay engaged. Now, last but not least, let's talk about a few specs, dimensions, the warranty, and price. Now, the main spec on this mower that I did not go over was the travel speed. So what you're gonna have is a max travel speed of 6.2 mile an hour. Now, keep in mind, whenever you have that deck engaged, you're not gonna quite get that 6.2. Whenever you have it off, if you're just traveling with this back and forth from maybe the shed out to the pasture or wherever you're going with this, 6.2 mile an hour is going to be your top speed. Now, as far as dimensions go, this is going to be important when we're talking about getting this mower in and out of those different areas to mow, or maybe in and out of that shed or garage, wherever that is. So we are going to have an overall length of just over 72 inches. A height here at the top of the back of the seat right at 49.5 inches. And then whenever we're talking about width, like I said before, we have that 48-inch deck and the 54-inch deck. But what we need to keep in mind is with that mower chute on the side and the little bit on each side adding to the edges of that deck, whenever you get this mower, if you have a 48, you need to add about 15 inches to cover all of the extras that are on the side. So now we're going to be looking at about 63. And if we have a 54-inch deck, when we add that 15 inches, we're going to be looking at about 69 inches wide. Now, once we raise that chute up, we're going to lose about 10 inches of width. So you can get that down to 59 or down to 53, depending on how you are going to be able to store this mower. Now, as far as warranty goes on these machines, you're going to have a 4-year, 300-hour warranty. This is going to be a bumper-to-bumper warranty that's going to cover things such as your engine, transmission, all the main components of this mower, or any manufacturer defects. This is not going to cover such items such as belts, blades, tires, other wear items on this mower, so just make sure to keep that in mind. But also, you can add to this warranty if you want to at that time of purchase. So make sure that you're asking your salesperson about that if that's something that you want. Now, last but not least, price. Whenever we're talking about an X390 with a 48-inch deck, before anything is added, the list price that you're going to see on Deere.com is going to be $66.99. Now, keep in mind also that that does not have any additional setup charges or fees to it that may go onto this mower. So just keep that in mind whenever you're out there looking at these mowers, that the starting price is going to be that $66.99. Now, the other thing to always keep in mind whenever we're talking about mowers is that you have all those different attachments that you can add to these mowers. You may also live in a state where mowers are taxable, so you may have to deal with taxes. And also, there are going to be finance programs on these mowers. So if you're not wanting to pay that chunk of money right out of pocket, make sure to ask about the different finance programs that are out there on these mowers, and also ask about if there's any type of incentives or discounts that you may qualify for, so you make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. So guys, that is the X390. I hope this video helped you out. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also guys, if you need any parts for your John Deere equipment, make sure to go check us out at 247parts.com. And as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.